Good morning, everybody. The stage is set. It is down to 2 in the race for Detroit's next mayor. Many Detroiters waking up this morning learning who will be facing off in the November general election. The race was called early last night for City Council President Mary Sheffield, and overnight we learned her opponent will be Solomon Kinloch, the senior pastor over at Triumph Church. You're looking at the results here. Sheffield taking 51% of the vote and Kinloch 17%. Santiel Jenkins came in third with 16% of the vote. Well, welcome to Local 4 Live, everybody. I'm Nick Monticelli. Thank you for joining us. Let's dive right into these conversations with the candidates. We already talked to Pastor Solomon Kinloch. Now we're joined by Mary Sheffield, winning with more than 50% of the vote. Mary, good morning. Thank you for joining us. I was up very late working on election results. I barely got any sleep. There was a Red Bull keeping me awake. I'm guessing you're in the same boat.
You know what? I honestly have not been able to sleep. My voice is kind of going out. We have been just super excited about the overwhelming support that we've received from Detroiters and the vision to create a Detroit that we all can be proud of. So I just want to say thank you to Detroit. We know that there's so much more work ahead of us, but it has been such an amazing campaign thus far, elevating the issues of Detroiters, and we're excited to move into November.
Yeah, I do want to ask you, many of us in our newsroom were surprised when the AP called you winning so early at 9:30 last night. Were you surprised by that too?
You know, not really. I'll be honest with you. We have heard directly on the ground. Detroiters kept reassuring me, we have your back. We have your back. We have your back. And I believed them. I really did. I believed them. I wasn't sure what the margin would be, but I felt pretty confident that we were going to win this primary election. And now we're laser focused on ensuring that we get through the general election in November.
Gotcha. Okay, I have a whole list of questions. I'm just going to start going through them here. The first one is Mayor Duggan's ability to kind of foster relationships on both sides of the aisle was an integral part of kind of bringing Detroit back to where we are right now. How do we keep that momentum going? How do you plan to do that?
Yeah, well, the beauty about this is that I've served now for 12 years, and throughout that 12 years, I've done just that. I've been able to work across the aisle. I have proven leadership on being able to build coalitions and partnerships to move our city forward, and we'll continue to do that. We know that the political climate of our country has changed, and we have to be able to have someone who can work across the aisle, work with our private sector, our state legislators, and others to be able to ensure that we're bringing resources back to Detroit. Yeah. And so I have a record of doing it. I'm not new to this, but we will ensure that we're fostering greater relationships, especially in these very difficult times.
Yeah. A lot of the shirts now say Detroit versus everybody, right? But there is a conversation about downtown Detroit versus the rest of Detroit, especially when you talk about gentrification. Some feel displaced out of the city. What are your conversations and some of your solutions to fix these issues?
Well, we're going to heavily prioritize and incentivize development within our neighborhoods and commercial corridors. We're going to be ensuring that we do a neighborhood plan and strategic plan through every single district of the city and begin to aggressively market the development of our communities and our neighborhoods. I believe that we need both a downtown and our neighborhoods strong in order for this city to thrive. But we know that as we drive through our communities and our neighborhoods, that there are still far too many neighborhoods in our city that have been left behind. And so I believe that the next phase of this city is really honing in on how we build strong communities, walkable communities, vibrant communities, activating our commercial corridors, and also addressing the issue of education. Because in order for our communities to thrive and our neighborhoods to grow and families to move into our communities, we have to have a strong educational system. And so I've been very clear that I will be a mayor who will be a partner of education, a champion of education, and ensuring that we're helping to improve our educational outcomes in Detroit as well.
I do want to talk to you about education in a moment, but before we get too far, let's talk about affordable housing, both in the neighborhoods on the west and east sides of Detroit, but also in downtown Detroit, because there are some people priced out of living downtown now too, especially younger ones who would like to come and live here.
Yeah, so I think it's important that we have what we call inclusionary policies in place. So as development comes to our city, housing comes to Detroit, we have to make sure that a certain percentage of those units are set aside for affordable housing. We also have to be very real at how we define what affordable housing is. Does it actually meet the demographics, the income levels of the residents who need it the most? My job as mayor is to ensure that we have housing that reflects all income levels of our city, whether it's very low income, middle and moderate, or even wealthier incomes. We have to make sure that we have housing for all. But I do believe that the greatest need in Detroit is those that are at 50% AMI and below, and those residents should be able to live in any area of our city. And we do that by ensuring that we have inclusionary housing policies in place. And when developers build and they're asking for tax breaks, that we ensure that they're including a portion of those units to be affordable for the most vulnerable in our city.
Yeah. Which kind of dovetails into my next question about marginalized communities, deep inequities that we see here in the city of Detroit in terms of income and jobs. What are some of your solutions to get more money into the pockets of Detroiters?
Yeah, so great question, because I've always stated that as Detroit rises, it means nothing if the people of this city are not rising with it. And as the only candidate that has received the largest amount of union endorsements, this city knows that I'm a firm believer in investing directly in people. And so we're going to be ensuring that we are incentivizing and attracting industries and development that pays good quality, livable wage jobs, preparing our residents through robust workforce development programming and training, partnering with our schools and community colleges and institutions, and ensuring that our residents are being properly trained for the jobs of today and of tomorrow, and making sure that we have direct outreach, bringing these community hubs into our neighborhoods to ensure that people are properly trained, and really starting at a younger age to ensure that that pipeline is started earlier on to ensure that they have greater access and outreach.
Speaking of some of those young people, public safety is a huge conversation. You know that we have seen far too many shootings over the past couple of weeks here, especially involving young guns. We've lost a lot of babies that we should not have to deal with. What are some of your goals in terms of what we can do to try to keep the gun violence down and try to keep some of these younger ones safe?
Yeah, thank you for that. And I actually mentioned this in my speech yesterday, because no matter how much progress we've made, when we see our young babies losing their life so soon, I think we all can admit that there's so much more work for all of us to do. And so, one, we're going to continue to push for community violence intervention programs, ensuring that we have nonviolence interrupters in our communities in high crime areas where we see the most persistent gun violence and high crime throughout our neighborhoods. We're also going to launch an Office of Gun Violence Prevention, working with our chief to ensure that we're addressing public safety from a public health crisis standpoint. We're also going to ensure that we're getting guns off the street as much as possible, working with the 36th District Court, creating more diversion programs, and really investing directly in youth programming. I believe that you cannot police your way out of gun violence, that it's going to take a holistic approach. And so we're going to ensure DPD has the resources that they need, but also investing in youth programming, in safe spaces, opening up our rec centers, opening up more centers that will allow for safe spaces for our young people in areas where there's high crime, and during the time where we typically see a larger increase in crime and violence in our city as well.
You mentioned education. I want to go back to that here. In terms of youth development, attendance, graduation rates, we would like to do more to bolster some of those numbers in Detroit. Again, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I believe that the mayor has to be a strong partner. The conversation should not be about who controls the school system at this point, but how is the mayor going to come in and help change outcomes? And that is my goal and my commitment. We know that absenteeism is the #1 issue, and oftentimes our young people are not coming to school because of the social determinants, whether it's childcare for the family, transportation, housing. These are the issues that I believe as mayor that the city can better address. So we're going to be working on safe routes to school, ensuring that we have robust after-school programming for our young people to help with math and reading levels. And we're also going to launch a community education commission, bringing DPSCD charter in our superintendent to the table to really begin to measure the gaps and how the city can be a greater partner.
Gotcha. Okay, only two more questions for you. Let's talk about mass transit. The
Okay.
DDOT obviously is a huge factor in the city of Detroit, but could probably use a little more build underneath of it. What are your thoughts on what we can do to increase mass transit with buses or more on the people mover, regional transit, things like that?
Well, I can tell you, just from the last 6 to 7 months on the ground here, we have to get our buses running on time. I still hear from residents that say they've waited 30, 40 minutes, even an hour to get to and from a location. And so efficiency and timeliness is my number one goal immediately, day one. How do we get more buses on the street? How do we get more buses hired? We want to increase pay as much as possible and ensure that we are as efficient and effective as possible and people are getting to where they need to go in a timely fashion. We know from a larger perspective that we have to have a regional approach. Opportunities are not just within Detroit's zip codes and limit, and we have to ensure that we have a regional approach. And we're going to be convening more discussions with our regional partners to ensure that we're looking at transportation from a regional perspective as well.
Gotcha. Okay, my last question is my favorite one. What
Okay.
is your leadership style? You know, what kind of person are you when you're rallying the troops? And if you do get elected mayor, how are you going to handle everybody?
You know, I believe that I'm a collaborative. I address leadership from a collaborative approach. I love to empower everyone who is around me to feel as if they are a part of decision making. I like to value what others have to say. I never lead from the top down as if I am in control or like to dominate. I like to be collaborative. I believe that leadership is a collaborative approach. Nothing can be done by yourself. Someone told me a long time ago, if you want to go far, go alone. If you want, I can't even remember the quote, but it's about collaboration. And I believe that we have to have a collaborative approach. And my approach is always going to be including our city council, including regional partners, including our state legislators and others, the private sector, everyone at the table to ensure that we have the best leadership here in the city of Detroit.
Yeah. Okay, Mary Sheffield, thank you so much for your time this morning, and congratulations on the primary win.
Thank you.
I cannot wait to see and follow what happens here in the next couple of months.
Thank you so much. You have a good one as well.
You too. Take care. Okay, well, you can hear Solomon Kinloch's answers to some of those exact questions in just a moment. Our coverage of Decision 2025 continues after the break. Stay with us.